said, look, you come from wonderful people, brought here as slaves, 1535, and over the years, within a period of 400, less than 500 years, you have Nobelists in economics,
Sure.
in literature. And so, to me, that's a rich heritage, and you're ashamed of it. But, you know, how do you break our people away from shame?
That's a good point.
How do you do it? But you, pardon me, but you know that it seems, except for I was a slave for 12 years. I bought that book in 1977. It was published by John Blassingame out of Yale University because I wanted to know whether any of my forefathers had testified in slave confession. It's about that thick. It's just has a rich history that should be developed in terms of film. Yeah, get John Blassingame's Slave Confessions, 1977. Yeah, you can get all kinds of material out of there to illustrate through film and through documentaries the past of African Americans in this country. Because no, because that's a bottomless pit.
I understand.
Yeah.
Because see what has happened and nobody talks about. It's not poverty per se. It's the dissolution of the family. I did a talk a couple summers ago on. Do you know Tony Jackson, who runs a business on Central Avenue, printing business? Well, anyway, he asked me. He said my family's having has a family reunion coming up and wants you to talk to him. I said, hell, I don't know your family. What am I to tell your family? Then I start thinking. I said, well, I'll tell them. I'll talk about the evolution of the African American family in the United States. And so I went back into post-slavery years, where 80% of the children lived in a household with two adults. That percentage held during World War I, during the Depression years, slight decline by when the Moynihan Report came out in 1965. But even in 1965, over 70% of the children lived in a household with two adults. Out of wedlock births were less than 23%. Poverty index was 50%. By 2010, though, only 30% of our kids were living in a household with two adults. Out of wedlock births, over 70%. Poverty index 30 to 35%. So when they give you that argument, it's poverty. No, poverty is not an imponderable situation because people of my generation, all of us were poor.
Right.
I tell the kids, I say, you don't know what poor is. I said, when I grew up, we lived on 3 square meals a day: oatmeal, cornmeal, and miso meal. No, we always had enough to eat. Always had enough to eat. Exaggerated, but what I see, for example, to me, if you go into a community and you see in the springtime, you see a vacant lot, no vegetable garden emerges. You see a vacant lot, you don't see kids throwing the football or the softball.
No.
To me, those are indicators of a sharp decline in the confidence and the ability of African Americans. The other thing, see, the Maroons on Jamaica fought a 200-year war against the British. On the eastern end of the island, there was a woman leader by the name of Nanny. Right now in Jamaica, the eastern part of the island, there's a town named Nanny Town in memory of that Maroon leader, a woman.
And they left them alone.
Yeah, they left them alone. They didn't fool around. And in the west central portion of the country, there was a leader by the name of Cudjoe. And they fought a 200-year war against the British. What's very interesting, they had a truce. The truce was broken, and in 1777, the British exiled some of the Maroons, and they sent them to Nova Scotia. At the same time, the British were evacuating from New York City, and they had amongst their evacuees slaves who had fought for the British throne for their freedom. And so they all converged on Nova Scotia. And there's, these are maroon communities, and that, you should be able to get a grant to study that because there's a place, Hornsby, in the center of town. They have this huge statue of a black, a descendant of the Maroons, and his name was William Hall. And William Hall was the first Canadian to receive a Victoria Cross for gallantry in the Lucknow Rebellion in India in 1855, when the British, dumb as they were, fed pork to Muslims. And so you had the rebellion of 1855. So it's just lots of rich stuff out there that should be developed. We need a new world. No, we really do.
I agree.
The old religion won't work any longer. It doesn't work. But, and you see, some white theologians are ahead of the curve. There's a great book, and I bought it. I haven't read it totally. A Buddhist monk and a quantum physicist. They jointly published a book called The Quantum and the Lotus. And what they show is the convergence of traditional Buddhism and quantum physics. Yeah. Well, if you think of it, this business of Higgs boson, which physicists call the God particle, because the physicists have found that all matter in the use is comprised of 6 leptons and 6 quarks. You have, lepton is like an electron, so it has charge. You have 6 quarks, top, bottom, up, down, charm, and strange. They have mass but no charge. But up until Higgs boson, you couldn't assign mass to those 6 quarks. And that's the beauty of the founding of the Higgs boson or the Higgs wave, because now you can assign mass to those individual 6 quarks. So then you have what they call the complete standard model of matter. That 6 leptons, 6 quarks. You've identified the masses of these 6 quarks. Now, what you have emerging, someone ahead of the game said, I'll write a book on quantum theology. Quantum, I just bought the book. I haven't read it as yet. Quantum theology. God exists not in terms of in our imagination as a human being, but probably as, to these people, as kind of a wave or a particle of some sort that kind of defines the Earth and the constellations and maintains the order in the nebulous. So there are lots of things going on that's really exciting.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it.
Is God a particle? I mean, is God Leon Letterman, whom I've met and I brought to the Rochester Museum Science Center it must have been about 1994 or so. He wrote a book called The God Particle, but he was talking about Higgs boson. Yeah. Does God really exist as particles? But you're onto something that is very interesting. I think you could take the black guy who put out the documentary on Cosmos.
Oh, yeah.
Neil Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
That that has an interface with our beliefs. You could put that into the mix,
It's interesting.
and you could put Higgs boson into the mix. You
Right.
see,
Right.
you know, there's the apocryphal story about Higgs one morning went to try to go to Catholic mass. So the priest met him at the door and said, "Well, we don't allow high energy particles in here." And Higgs said, "Well, I just want to remind you, if I'm not there, there's no mass." See that? See, you could use that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, to me, you know, you can imagine a God. What does God say if he meets Higgs? And Higgs said, look, you know, you supposedly created the earth and the heavens and so forth. But I find that, you know, we have quarks and we have leptons. And there's no designation in the Bible that you created any of that kind of stuff. I mean, that stuff is relevant now. You know, and you can say, well, you know, you look at the earth and all of the mass therein, you know, wouldn't be in if it weren't for me. So do I have a greater position in the hierarchy of gods than you do? Yeah. And see, it's relevant now because Higgs is still in the minds of people.
That's interesting.
So David, you say, well, you know, I met Higgs. You know, Higgs said, "What's happening, baby?" No, you know, that's some interesting stuff you're hitting upon. And I always felt that there are lots of things that the broad general public ought to hear and see to get them to start thinking.
I agree.
See, we have, especially among us, we aren't thinking about things, and that's why we're always one or two steps behind, because we're not thinking about these kind of processes.
I agree.
But I think you bring up some things, and like a couple, maybe 3 weeks ago, there was a movie on particles, high energy particles, and they had Carl Hagen, whom I know from the University of Rochester, who in about 1964, he and what was the post-op name? They put down the theoretical framework for the Higgs boson, and I tried to go to that movie. I mean, the little was crowded outside the door. I couldn't even get in. Yeah, so because people are interested and it's given them a new look at religion. Even in the scientific lab, I found that out. Did lots of things. I still have to write up. I have about 3 patents I should be writing up, but you know, this school business takes a hell of a lot of my time.
Tell me about the school.
Well, it's a pre-K to 6. We started 2009. We graduated our first class out of the 6th grade this year. It's generally it's quite multicultural because my best students are from Somalia. I had a math club run by a world-class mathematician, but he couldn't find a job here, Jonathan Farley. He went to Harvard. 4 years on his transcript, he had 29 A's and 2 A minuses. Got a PhD from University of Oxford in England. Then he taught at Vanderbilt, MIT, Harvard, and the University of in Austria for a while. Now he does cellular mathematics, cubes and trapezoids and all that stuff. And but he would like to find a position in Rochester because his mother is widowed now. He lives in Brockport, and so she's alone. So the boys came back, two of them, Felipe and Jonathan. But Jonathan, the mathematician, is teaching at Morgan State, and I don't think it'll challenge him there.
Okay.
No, he won't be challenged. He does a lots of really sophisticated mathematics, and at one time he was named one of the brightest young mathematicians in the world. Yeah, but you see, the problem here, we've had real heroes, but they're not written up and they're never scripted. Like you take Tom Boyd, who came here in 1930 as a trained architect. He was one of the few African Americans who could find a place in corporate America in 1930. Because if you want to believe it, you go to the personnel files of the New York Central Railroad in the 20s and 30s, and you'll find the Pullman porters, Ivy League, all black, came out of Harvard, Yale, Brown, and so forth. Couldn't find jobs. And so their story should be told.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, lots of stories should be told. See, the problem here is history is lost. Don't talk about it. Somebody should have written and at least try to portray, the historical history of Clarissa Street.
Yeah.
Would be rich because in 1945 you had 5,000 blacks in Rochester. They were centered primarily on Clarissa Street. You had businesses. You had Lauren and Johnny Pendleton's restaurant. Your mother could tell you about these people. You had Stamps, had a cleaning establishment. You had leadership in the Elks, Stanley Thomas, and you had two dentists, Lindsay and Van Ty Levy. You had two doctors, Jordan and Lunsford. You had two morticians, Walter Myers and Latimer. And and you see, you had kind of a stable. You really had a community. Because when I came to the town in 1952, your grandparents opened their arms to me. Yeah, at your grandmother's funeral, I was part of citing her in the memorial. I gave your mother a copy of it. Yeah, she has a copy of it. Yeah, I sent it to her. Yeah, and yeah, so. And there were things like, see, you had a sense of community, which is lost now. Like the jazz musician in New York, they'd have a gig in Chicago, and on their way back to New York, they would stop in Rochester because they knew the people. Your grandfather, Darby, was a musician. Right. Yeah. It was a jazz town. Yeah. And the kids don't know anything about, this wasn't New Orleans, but it had its own history of jazz. Cab Calloway was born here. Yeah. It's rich in history.
Yeah.
And you can weave a nice story around that, the historical period. Well, I would agree. We could use people who are creative and relatively young. What has happened in this town is the young, educated ones have disappeared. That's the problem in the town. There's no infrastructure of leadership. You know, the Lakey Ashfords and Hannah Stores and Obadiah Williamsons and people like that don't exist anymore among our young, educated people. Because, for example, I can't imagine if, you know, Lakey and Hannah Stores were around, that the school system would have gone down the way it did, because they would have been at the school board raising hell. It's just like, why don't the students here do like the students in Los Angeles, who said, well, you know, the seniority rules are killing us. Well, let's attack them. But you don't. It seems as though the vital energy and vision has been destroyed. I don't know why. The kids don't even go out for athletics anymore.
I know, like saying many of the sports.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you know, you go to a community, and in the spring, if you vacant lot, you don't see a vegetable garden, and you see a vacant lot and kids aren't running football or the soccer. That community's in trouble. That's where we are now. Frederick Douglass put it aptly. He said, over 150 years ago, he said, "It is easier to create strong children than to try to repair broken men." And that's where we are, trying to repair broken men. See, that would be a good thing to introduce, say, a movie or something, or documentary. Yeah, well, that's why if you read any history, there was a prohibition against beating drums on the plantation, because that was a communication system.
Right.
And you see, like rap, when I grew up, and I'm talking about, when I was young in the 30s, you had old timers around. They rapped, but they didn't put it to music. Like you had Shine and the Sinking of the Titanic. You know, Shine was what those days, since we were ignored and not integrated into history, blacks would take a historical significant event and insert into it a mythical black hero. Now, Shine was the hero, the mythical black hero in the sinking of the Titanic. He was the world's great swimmer. And so you would have, when the Titanic started going down, and the people on board said, "Shine, oh shine, please save poor me. I'll make you as rich as a nigga can be." Shine said, there's sharks in the oceans and sharks in the sea. If you want to save your ass, you better swim like me. And so when word got to the British port, Halifax, that the Titanic had gone down, Shine was standing on the corner smoking a cigarette. But then there was also, you know, the Hobos Convention. You know, the 10th of May was a hell of a day. All the counts and no accounts were together. There was Dead Eye Dick from Hickory Stick, Little Lou from Kalamazoo, and on and on and on. So, you know, as a boy, I used to hear the old timers talk that, you know, sit on the sidewalk and hear them give their version of things. But so, you know, what it points out, we have a rich history, but we don't go and even reveal it to blacks. Well, I think that's good. What I try to tell them is that you know, there's stages of life, and at your early stage, if you're going to succeed, you have to have a love affair with books. Romance the book, and you will succeed. And I'd say, you know, grasp it, hold it close to you, cherish it, love it, respect it. And I said, you can, under those circumstances, you will succeed. I said, I know many people of my generation who romanced the book, and they succeeded. Those who rejected the book did not succeed, and that's true.